Hello and welcome to the channel. This is Steel City Knives. Right, I'm going to be showing you some knives today, but really we're going to be talking about a topic. And the topic is, as you can probably tell from the thumbnail, is fear of missing out knives, FOMO knives. And to be honest, when I looked at my collection, there was loads. I've only picked these up because I've been doing videos on these and there was around. And then I grabbed a vintage sort of knife there as well. So we'll be having a look at a load of knives, but really it's more the subject. So let me know in the comments what you think about this. So basically it's the fear of missing out knives, FOMO knives. Now what inspired this video was my mate Retro Stu. So let me tell you a bit about Retro Stu. So I've become quite close mates with him now. We message each other quite a bit. And we sort of tell each other what sort of knives we're into, what we're picking up and things like that. Now, I know Stu is a massive canoe fan. He loves that pattern, and that's something that he's just sort of focused on at a certain point, and he's grew that collection. Something he really enjoys collecting. But he wanted a case butterbean. Now, here in the UK, they very rarely come. You very rarely get them brand new, not alone on the second-hand market, and they are usually at a very premium price. So he stumbled across one and sent me a picture. Now he found it on Mark Congington's sort of site, which is Congy's Knife Sales, and I'll show you a picture of that right now. That's his website. Mark's a brilliant guy to deal with. He actually has his own YouTube channel. I'll put the link in the description into this video. Please subscribe. But he's a really good guy to deal with, and he sells knives very fairly priced, and he goes above and beyond. If you've ever got like a request or you want a bit more information or anything like that, he's really nice person to deal with. And I bought quite a few knives with him. I can't speak highly of him enough. Okay, that's my little plug for Mark, because he's an absolute gent and a pillar of the community. I really enjoy buying knives off of him. Now, right, so getting back to the subject matter. So Stu found this, and it was this one here, this butterbean, and he sent me a picture of it, and this was going for £45, which I thought was an absolute steal. And Congy, I don't know, Congy doesn't charge you for delivery either, so it's £45 all in. So I said to him, you've got to get that knife, mate. You've got to get it. Now, Retro Stu had just recently bought a load of knives, as we could probably all relate. And he was like, I can't really justify getting it. Now, I had seen previously, about 2 days before, on Mark's website, a case cheater in the Case Collector's Edition what was it? I can't remember if it was 2005. It might have been a 2005 one, Blue Bone. Now, I'm not a massive cheetah fan, but I'm one of these where I like a pattern of everything anyway, and I do quite like the Case Collectors Club stuff. So I was thinking about getting it. Now, that was going really reasonably priced. I think that was going for about £50. So I am one of these knife geeks where I look at the prices all over the place, and I knew they was going for some silly money over in America. So I thought that's a good investment. It's a good, nice piece to have in the collection. Good one to show the channel. And then, so I slept on it, and I thought, yeah, and then in the morning I thought, yeah, definitely, I'll have that. So I went on to the website, and it was sold. So that made me even more, I was like, Stu, you got to get that knife, mate. It's going to go. It is going to go. So unfortunately, Stu has probably got a bit more self-restraint than probably myself, and was like, no, I'll hang tight. I'm sure it'll still be there. Now, I got worried for him, and I was like, I tell you what, I will buy it. I'll do like a little bit of a video on it because it gave me this idea, and then I will send it to you, because it's only a sort of city away. It's not very far from me. And he said, yeah, that's a good idea. Cheers, mate. Yeah, appreciate it. So obviously he's going to pay me the money. I'm not a charity, but yeah. But then it gave me the idea of this FOMO knives, and when I started thinking about it, I have so many in the collection that are like the fear of missing out knives. So I've just recently done a video. Let me just quickly show Stu. So when it came to me, there's this little dot here, mate. I don't know what that is. And there was a bit of gapping on the back. A few little scuff marks and things like that. But generally, not bad for £45. But yeah. So I've sort of done this video because I think he's asked for it now. So yeah, let me know if if you definitely want it, and because that's the other thing I said to him. If he was deliberating, I said, look, if you don't want it, I'll always have one in the collection anyway. Now I have got a few little canoes, but so it's not something. And that's the thing with me. As much as I have a set thing that I like. Now I'm a big fan of the boy's knife. That's one of my favourite patterns. The canoe, don't get me wrong, I've got a few of the little canoes. I do enjoy them, but I feel like I've got enough in the collection now, if you know what I mean. So, but yeah, let me know, Stu, and I will send it to you. I'm sure he was asking for it the other day, so I'll put this video together and then I'll send it on to you, mate. Right, so let's talk about the actual subject. So, right, now, I bought these recently. So these are an SFO from, let's move these out of the way while we talk about these ones. So these are an SFO from Twisted Assisted. Now, they didn't advertise them as like a one-off or anything like that. So they might still get another order, and there might be, a continuous thing that they're going to sell on their site. But they didn't stay either way. So there was a bigger urgency to get the ones I wanted. I'm quite happy with the ones I got before they sold out. But again, that goes to that fear of missing out, and you're eagerly waiting. A good representation of that is probably GEC knives just in general. They have like a drop, and there's a whole massive thing around GECs trying to get them, and different methods of trying to get them and things like that. But these are a big one where you just, there's a panic buy of, I've got, Now I'm lucky. I sort of manage my own money, but I can imagine the hilarious conversations of people that have maybe a joint bank account, and all of a sudden, their partner has realised that all of a sudden, a couple £100's gone out their bank account, and then somebody trying to explain to them, their partner, about the importance of a GEC, and I had to get it. Just let me know in the comments all your stories and things like that, because I can imagine there's been some funny arguments in some relationships over things like this. But this was very kindly sold to me by Wee Judd. He was getting rid of a load of knives, making way in his collection, and I managed to snap this up for a brilliant price. And he did sell me it as like a use, it was a user for him. I think it probably was Paddy's before Judd's, but I am carrying on using this knife. It's only like a Tidio, and I love a boy's pattern. So this, for me, so GECs are quite easy to obtain over here in the UK, and on the secondary market you haven't got that sort of inflated price either. It's quite a fair market for GECs over in this country. But to get certain patterns, because how can I? It's just hard to get GEC is one of those brands where you're like, oh, I like that one. And it's not that easy, is it really? They only make certain numbers and certain years and all the rest of it. So to find, I've always wanted a 15, and I'm so glad I managed to pick this GEC up. But like I say, it's quite one of the basic ones. But really, this is something that I just love the pattern, and I love this sort of style of knife anyway. So I'm really glad that I managed to pick this up at a really good price. I really do appreciate that, Wee Judd. I made him a little short as soon as I got this, just to sort of show my appreciation. But and he actually chucked in a free knife as well, and I do appreciate that, mate. That was really nice of you. Right, so another example of that is Arha Wright. So actually not that one there. So Arha Wright do small runs. I'll turn it this side because that's actually the nicer cover. They do small runs of sort of unique cover materials that they don't do all the time. Now, over in the UK, and especially northern people and some of our shops, they don't advertise these things like maybe they would in America and make a big deal of it, really, which they probably should, but it's quite under the radar. So unless you have somebody, thank you very much. I think that was Ian that told me about this, and I do appreciate it, mate. I managed to get that. And I think, who told me about this? It was Roland Brandt told me about this one. So, unless you've got mates that are going to give you a heads up, or, you're there at the right time, because they do sell out quite quickly, and especially when Knife Raven does videos on them. Yeah, so things like this I'll always snap up. Even like I've got quite a few Etrics in the collection now, and it's not, I do like the, don't get me wrong, I do like the pattern, but there's only so many Etrics one person needs unless you love that pattern to bits. Which, you know, I've already got probably 4 or 5 of these. So, but because you've got this unique covers and they're really low numbers that they're selling in, you feel like you have to grab them. So, and that's a good example of this sort of fear of missing out. So you try and, you know, grab them when you can. But I mean, this has only come from years of disappointment throughout the years of like finding something and then all of a sudden it, you know, it disappears. So there's been a lot throughout the years that I've missed out on because I've deliberated too much, and I think that's what's made me sort of pull the trigger a lot more and, like I say, get a bit more worried for, say, Stu. But this is a good one to show, and this was a bit of a back and forth with me and Paddy actually. Paddy had bought a knife by the same guy from the same company, and he wanted it because it had some teak wood on it from a ship that he'd actually served on or worked on, and they was, you know, it was sentimental to him. But he wanted to know if it was 100% legitimate. And I posted a video about this. Now, this knife is special. It really is, because there was a company called Sheffield GB, and I've got a video just sort of all about this knife and the company. And basically, they took Arha Wright knives, and the guy, Malcolm Carpenter, his name was a real character. He was actually quite a big presence on a lot of the knife forums back in the day. But he had a real sort of passion for history and Sheffield knives. And what he did, he combined them by sourcing some really unique cover materials, and then he got somebody to recover Arha Wright knives, and he sold them for a really good price. Now, I had 2 in the collection. I returned one, unfortunately, and it had a horn. It was from an African sort of deer, and it was the best marbling you've ever seen, but the covers were actually lifting up over the sort of protruding from the bolsters. It just wasn't, you know, I had to return it, and I wish I took a picture because the marbling was absolutely beautiful. But this is one that I managed to keep and I absolutely treasure. This is Caroline Birch, and I just wanted to show this to Paddy if he's watching. He was sort of still wondering whether so this is definitely the same guy, because I think you had this sort of paperwork, but this is the paperwork that came with it, and that's the guy, Malcolm Carpenter. But now, unfortunately, and this is where it sort of does sometimes really does benefit to sort of pull that trigger, is this company is no longer in existence, unfortunately, which is a crying shame because it's such a good idea. It's very similar to what Boca does with like their Castleberg series and things like that. Now, unfortunately, I think it sort of went out of business not long after I bought this, to be fair, because I would have been back on there and trying to buy some other stuff. And that's why you know, it's things like this along your journey of knife collecting that makes you a bit more impulsive and a bit more wanting to pull the trigger, I feel. But yeah, I think that's, I just want to show you that as well, Paddy. So yeah, it is definitely 100%, mate. That same company and person, Malcolm Carpenter. Brilliant. He was a brilliant character. I had the pleasure of actually speaking to him on the phone, and he was just an absolute character and a half. I really enjoyed him. So here's another example of this. This is turned into a bit of a long video, but I just like this subject matter, really. So this is the Otter 167K. Now, I've emailed Otter, and hopefully they'll get back to me by the time I sort of put this video out. But I've wanted to pick this knife up for a very long time. I've had it in my basket several places, and I've just never pulled the trigger for whatever reason. I have a lot of boys' knives. I'll do a complete collection of my boys' knives. It's not massive, but it's varied, definitely, to say the least. But I've always really loved this knife. I've seen it on many videos, and it's just one of them where you've always knew you was going to have it in the collection, but just never pulled the trigger. And then all of a sudden, they just started going, disappearing. And then when you'd sort of put the notification to email when back in stock, the emails didn't come. So then you start sort of doing a bit of digging, and when you look on other sites, it says, oh, this knife's been discontinued. So then you go onto Otter's official website, and it looks like they've not... Now, they're doing the one in the Stag still, and that's going for an absolutely ridiculous price now. That used to be quite reasonably priced, but yeah, now that seems to be a really expensive knife. So yeah, and then I managed to track one down. I probably paid over the odds for it, but I just didn't want to miss out on it. Really didn't. And all it is, it's a boy's knife with a simple white bone covers, but there's just something about it. I think it's absolutely stunning. Now, the person that I bought it off, it was brand new, but as you can see, it's been on their shelf for a while because white bone comes to you usually and it's absolutely completely white, but then as it ages you get this sort of browning, and it's really nice. I love how bone ages, and if you find an antique or vintage white bone knife, you'll see how beautiful they do turn out. And it's one of these where if you like patina and things like that on a blade, you'll love a white bone knife because it just absolutely goes an absolute beautiful colour. Right, enough drooling over this, but yeah, I'm really glad to get that in the collection. My mate Drew is after one of these as well, so but I will carry on looking. Unfortunately, I got the last one from that guy, but yeah. So, and then I think it helps as well if you're a collector. If you're a collector and you're just into one brand or one type of knife, must be quite nice in some respects, but I like everything. I like vintage, antique, all different places. So I'm on like hundreds of websites checking loads of stuff out, but this is one that really does get you the FOMO juices going, is antique and vintage stuff, because that's it. There's one and it'll probably just come there, and then you probably won't see anything like that ever again, or maybe decades. But this is a one-off. So this is an E.C. Simmons, a keen cutter, but this has actually been rescaled, sort of recovered by Ashley Harrison. So again, you see something like this pop up, you just have to pull the trigger, and he's done an absolute awesome job on this, and I love the stag, absolutely love it. But anything like that, you just have to jump on it. Now tell me, is it an impulse thing? Or is it just, like I say, years of experience of being disappointed? Are you similar to this? Do you have a bit more self-restraint? Do you think I'm crazy? Is it a real thing? Tell me in the comment section. Right, we've got time for one more knife. No, it's 17 minutes. I was going to show you this, but we'll save it for another time. There's a bit of a story behind that. Right, thanks all for watching. Just a bit of a natter, bit of a chat, bit of a knife chat, just a bit of a random one. But yeah, just thought it made sense. And do you have the same problem I have, this FOMO of knives? Right, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.